Thank you, Monseigneur Sanchez Torondo. Thank you, Professor Van Braun. Thank you, Professor Yves Coppens, for your invitation to present today the discovery of Mazol. I enjoy to be here today in the Pontifical Academy of Science to present to you a new prehistorical locality in the Indian Himalayan foothills. I just come back from the fieldwork. I was last week at the Mazol, so the landscape is fresh in my mind and also in my leg. Well, Mazol is 445 kilometers far from Riwat, discovered by Denel and dated to 2.45 million years. Robin, you are the pioneers of the first human settlement in Asia. And Mazol is far from 3,100 kilometers for Longopo. I know there are a debate about Longopo, and we will see maybe during the debate. And the dating are 2.45 million years. The publication is recent with Han and the colleagues from my lab, with Christophe Falguer, Pierre Ouinchet, and Jean-Jacques Barin. So, the Mazol Formation is located in the Chandigarh anticline in the Sivalik Frontal Range. And the Sivalik Frontal Range is an alignment of anticlines formed by the plate tectonics around 600,000 years ago. The anticlines is well known. It is studied since the 60s by two geologists, Sani and Khan, who published the lithostratigraphy and the paleontology. They have described the geological section all along a river, a seasonal river, the Patiali Rao, and demonstrated that the Mazol Formation is totally included in late Pliocene formation. The eroded summit form an inler, a boutonnière in French, around a small dome surrounded by fossiliferous deposit called the Kranwala zone. The faunal assemblage is characteristic of the late Pliocene in the Chirolinx, with Hipparion and Equus, Stegodon and Elephas, Hemibos, Mericopotamus, and Testudo Atlas. So the Kranwala zone is a paleontological reference in Asia since the 16th for the Plio-Pleistocene transition. And there are many publications until today. The fauna illustrates fluviatile and swampy environments in the sub-Himalayan floodplains with crocodiles, gavials, Esaprotodon, Civaterium, Cervix, Stegodon, and Hipparion. So the biomagnetism also is well known. It was realized by Rangarao, and the results showed that Mazol Formation is below the Gauss-Motoyama reversal. I started the program of research in March 2009, and gradually, first with the Society for Archaeological and Anthropological Research. This is an NGO of Chandigarh founded by my colleague Dr. Mukher Singh. And gradually, I associated colleagues of my lab, and then two geologists from the Geoscience laboratory from Paris Sud University. Also, to understand this discovery, the most important is to understand the geomorphology and the erosion. So Masol-Inler is organized around a dome with the two crests, the western crest and the eastern crest. The hydrography is the most important factor of erosion. We see the Patiali-Rao, and in the western sector, the Pitli-Chow. Chow means torrent. So you see here the western sector, which is eroded by the combination of the tectonics and the monsoon. All the sediments are drained by the Pitli watershed in blue. And the depth of these layers is around 20 degrees southwestern, orientation towards southwest. This is a view on the western crest, a view of the eastern sector, eroded by the Patiali-Rao watershed, and the Pitli seasonal torrent, a small torrent. So in this Inler, we have collected stone tools, many fossils, in 12 localities, including, of course, the Pitli-Chow. This is a view of the dome at Masol 1, with the lower limit of the Kranwala zone, a view of Masol 2, just behind Masol 1, the western sector with Masol 6 and the upper limit of the Krawalan zone. In the eastern sector, I return this locality, Masol 12, because of a layer of cobalt pebbles in the lower silt of the Kranwala zone. It was very important for us at the very beginning to find cobalts in the silt. Our lithostratigraphy and datings. We have realized a complete analysis of the lithogeological stratigraphy in the western sector. And also, we have verified the magnetostratigraphy. This is the analysis of Cécile Chapon-Sao. And we find again the normal polarity of the Gauss crown. There is just at the summit an unknown information on the palomagnetism in the sand S17. The Krawalan zone is very well delimited or limited into the stratigraphical log. So we are sure that the upper limit is at minimum 90 meters below the Gauss-Matoyama boundary and 130 meters below this limit. We have a very detailed lithostratigraphy analysis to be sure or to have good knowledge of the lithics and mineralogical context of the 12 localities. One, the oldest M1, M2, M12 have cobalts and artifacts, and the latest M3, M6, M9, and M13 also have cobalts and artifacts. So the archaeological localities in the Krawalan zone, including the Pitli-Chow, are undoubtedly 90 meters minimum below the Plio-Pleistocene boundary. So last week I was at Masol with my colleague, looking for the Plio-Pleistocene boundary. And so you see in yellow the clay S17 and the sand, C70, and the sand S17. And in blue, the last silt we have found all around the road to verify if this is the limit between the Pliocene and the Pleistocene. So now the erosional context of this paleontological collecting. For example, Mazol 6 below the crest. For one Testudo atlas in the silt, we have 100 fossils on the outcrops. In the Petlicho, for 2 tusks in the sandstone, we have dozens fossils every year in the bed. Exceptionally, just before the fossil fall from the sedimentary matrix, at Mazol 6, Mazol 1, and of course, most often, on the outcrops. And another example at Mazol 3. The faunal assemblage matched with the previous works, the terrestrial and aquatic mammals, carnivores with Panthera and Hyena, reptiles with tortoise, crocodiles, gavials. Now the hominin activities. The first was discovered at Mazol 1 Dome in 2009 by an Indian student, Manji Lazarika, who now is assistant professor. So we have seen suspected cut marks. And in 2017, we have unearthed a chopper in situ. So this is the lower limit of the Crauelan zone. 130 meters minimum below the Gauss-Matoyama limit. You see here the locality of the bovine shaft tibia with cut marks, the yellow cross, at the limit between the silt C3 and S3, in the sun S3. A view of Mazol 2, which belongs to the same locality with Mazol 1. Artifacts are all along the dip of the silt C3. And this is the chopper, one chopper I have found in 2009. And we have the same distribution all along the dip with the fauna, with the Elephantidae, maybe Stegodon, and Hippo, probably Hexaprotodon. And we have also local accumulation of quartzite cobalt pebbles in the same silt than at Mazol 12. Another example, Mazol 2 West, just below Mazol 2. Mazol North, in the silt C6. It is a very interesting locality, complex to understand from a geological point of view. But we have many cobalts and many stone tools and also many fossils. And here we see an example of a chopper recently unearthed from the colviums. We have an anvil among cobalts on the slope. Okay. And now the first chopper in situ at Mazol 1. It was observed in 2016 by Mukesh Singh, Dr. Mukesh Singh. And we came so in February 2017 to verify if it was a chopper, a stone tool, and really in situ. So we open a trench, and I make pictures, I make film, to be sure that this stone tool was not in colluvium. And the result, we have presented these results last year at the USPP Congress, show undoubtedly that the silt are in situ. There are no disturbance, no colluvium. So the chopper, this stone is in situ. And then the technology analysis was made realized by Dominique Koch. who conclude that this tool is an unofficial chopper shaped on the split cobble of quartzite obtained by bipolar percussion and then retouched on one edge. You see the three surface of flakes. Now the cut marks of battery activities. We have found 4 bones. The first, so at Muscle 1 in 2009, on the bovine shaft tibia. The 2 others in the Pytchley show in 2011, observed by Anne-Marie Moigne, and the third at Muscle 13, and the 4th in the Pytchley show in 2017. I have found this big bone with beautiful cut marks. I have made an experiment with a quartzite from muscle, and I realized this chopper with a bipolar percussion. I take a pig metapod, and without knowing what I will find on the bone surface, I'll cut the skin, and you have the result on the right side. So these cut marks are the reflection of experiment traces of intentional manual activity. Now, if we compare the cut marks of this bovine shaft tibia, this is the caudal face at the distal extremity of the tibia, and with different lighting, we see 2 parallel grooves on the crest, muscle attachment crest. Also 3 parallel grooves. And this one, a long groove which cuts the crest. And if we compare these cut marks or marks with the experiment, we can see the very similar shape. This groove is very interesting. You see with this 3D dynamical microscope, I don't know, yes, it's possible, not really, a single and fine groove followed by 2 grooves when the trajectory starts to curve, exactly on the crest, and continue regularly below and all along the muscle attachment crest. On the cranial face, there are another cut marks, very similar to these cut marks described by Giacobini. These other cut marks or percussion marks on the bovine metapod, we see 6 impacts of incision and a large conchoidal fracture in the cortical bone. And this metapod was collected in the Pytchley show, on the terrace of the Pytchley show. The microtomography show with more precision. Oh, sorry. A repetitive impact with the same profile and superimposed here, T and AC, which gives the chronology of the gesture. First time, the bone resists to the shock because there are compact bone below the shock. And second time, the medullar canal fractured and it was possible to access to the marrow. Now, this long bone, I know very well the condition of the collect, and you can see the very beautiful cut marks. There are 5 parallel cut marks on 1 centimeter. It was in the Pitlit show, and I can explain if you want the condition of the collect. So 5 parallel incisions and 1 isolated here. We see a departure with a fine groove, and then again 2 parallel grooves, and the repetition of the same profile. This is typically the mark of intentional manual or fingering movement, particularly precise. So concerning the lithic assemblage of muscle, this is the conclusion of Dominique Koch. Muscle industries currently totals 300 pieces. This industry is characterized by the predominance of large heavy-duty tools for nearly 50% of all parts. The high frequency of artifacts obtained by bipolar percussion on anvil, and the scarcity of cores, less than 2%, and therefore the low frequency of reduction sequences. And this is not an older wine industry, but very similar to the Longupo assemblage. So now the dating are in progress. The Sands S3 above the Chopper in situ by electron spin resonance method, and I expect an age of 2.75, 2.8 million years. And Sand S7, S16 at the cruise by cosmonucleic dating. So the conclusion, we have hominin activities in the sub-Himalayan floodplains during the late Pliocene. At Muscle 1, Muscle 2, this is the same locality. We have a complete chain opératoire, older than 2.6 million years, with the raw material, the quartzite cobbles, a complex technology of stone tool production, very precise and chosen gestures according to the anatomy of the carrion, a well knowledge of the anatomy, the sense of the economy of physical effort, and the sense of efficient behavior. So, muzzle in the Pliocene prehistoric chronology is the third human settlements, or hominin settlements, after Dikika and Lomekritri. Now to conclude, who were the hominins of Muscle? So there are many hypotheses. Why not from Central Africa, East Africa? Are they coming by the Levant? Maybe it was possible to cross from East Africa to Arabia. Are there Australopithecine? We have seen yesterday that it was possible that Australopithecus afarensis made these cut marks. Are there Kenyatanthropus? We have seen yesterday with Sonia Armand that they were able, maybe it is taxon, to realize stone tools. I don't know why. Or an unknown Homo, at minimum at 3 million years. I don't know why the last slide does not appear. So, on behalf of my team, I thank you for your attention.